it's Klauds and I am back with another video. So I didn't do a wrap-up video for January and it's now March. So I thought, like, I was thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna not mind January and just post a February wrap-up. But like, at the end of the year, I'm gonna be super OC about it and be all, January is missing. There will only be 11 wrap-up videos unless something like this happens again. But basically, I am going to be combining January and February. And also, it's gonna be a sort of a quick fire wrap-up because I'm too lazy to edit that long of a video. Let's just be honest here. I managed to read a total of 19 books. I was like aiming for 20. That didn't happen. Things came up and I wasn't able to finish book number 20 in time for March. But you know what? That's okay. We set realistic expectations here in this channel. Do not want another burnout. So, to the wrap-up. So I'm going to be stating a title, a quick summary of what I thought about it, if I can still remember my thoughts about it, and my rating. Yeah, you guys can search for the summary. So the first book I read was Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. If I'm not mistaken, she wrote this before Pride and Prejudice, and it actually has a very similar formula, but I obviously enjoyed Pride and Prejudice more. Sense and Sensibility, I don't know, the main characters, they kind of just annoyed me a bit, and I'm sorry, but once you've read Pride and Prejudice, just Sense and Sensibility kind of fades to the background. If there are any fans of that book, I am so sorry, but that is my personal opinion. I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars. Next book is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. On Instagram, there's this bookstagrammer named A. Dominic Reads, and she is almost always raving about Brandon Sanderson's books. And a few years ago, one of my closest friends actually gifted me a copy of Mistborn. And I never read it until recently, thanks to A. Dominic Reads and the Brandon Sanderson read-along, crab-along that she invited me to be a part of. I follow their guides, like what book is the goal for the month, but I don't exactly like get myself updated because there's so much going on. Yeah. I really enjoyed Mistborn. I love the found family trope, so this did me some good. It gave me happy tears, it gave me agonized tears, but it's okay. It's okay. I'll be continuing with the next 2 books, and yeah, I also read a couple more Brandon Sanderson books, which I will talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I'm really enjoying what I've been reading from him so far, and I cannot wait to get back into the world of Mistborn. I'm kind of just following it by the month of that read-along guide, just so that I don't get overwhelmed with like all of his books, because I feel like it's gonna get heavy if I read it one after the other. Yeah, I'm taking my time with it. So yeah. Mistborn, I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book is Life and All Its In-Betweens by Leah de Jesus. This book is a compilation of poems that the author compiled into one book. I'm not really much of a poetry reader. I'm trying, okay? Langleaf kind of turned me off for a while, but we're getting there. I really enjoyed the poetry of Leah de Jesus, and a lot of them are actually pretty relatable. I personally like Masquerade. Yeah, so if you like books by Elizabeth Acevedo, you will like Leah de Jesus' poetry. And I will be upfront and honest, there might be a little bias because Leah is a very dear friend of mine. Love you, babe. Jetaime mashari. Reading materials such as this, when you personally know the writer, just hits really different. Because when you know someone personally, you kind of have a bit of an idea where their inspiration of their writing comes from. And that puts everything into a whole different perspective. I will be linking a link to where you can purchase her book down below. So yeah, please support indie authors. I rated it a 4.5 out of 5. The next book is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I kept getting annoyed with the main character, but like, I don't know, I keep telling myself, girl, it was a different era, it was a different time, it was a different culture. This is normal. Yeah, anyway, basically, I really liked Pachinko. I don't know much about Asian history, which is ironic because I'm Asian. I mean, I knew there was a Korean War. I didn't know that there was a war between Japan and Korea, okay? I know, I might sound really dumb, okay? But I didn't know. Fault the educational system of this country, not me. What I really love about non-fiction books is that you kind of learn about history from a fictional point of view. Granted, like, a lot of it is based on real history, and sometimes authors do change things up a bit. So, you know, like, it's up to you. Like, when you read a historical fiction, it's your prerogative if you want to, like, research more on that era or that event and figure out what was real, what maybe the author kind of put his or her own spin on. I guess that's why I like historical fiction. But back to Pachinko. Again, reading historical fiction that is Asian, thank you, because I didn't know that. Reading historical fiction it teaches you more. Fault the educational system of this country, not me. Pachinko really delivered. Like, not only about the Korean-Japanese War, but also what happened to Koreans who moved to Japan, because I actually didn't know that. So yeah, I immensely enjoyed Pachinko, and I really recommend that you guys read it. I gave Pachinko a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. So after reading Leah's compilation of poems, I kinda crave to read something by Elizabeth Acevedo. But after my experience with The Poet X, I thought that it would be in my best interest to listen to the audiobook, since Elizabeth Acevedo does read her own audiobooks. So yeah, that was cool. Clap When You Land kinda hit a little hard for me, because I'm really close with my dad, and the two half-sisters thing, yeah, relatable. Anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed The Poet X more if I were to compare Elizabeth Acevedo's works, but it was still a good read or listen. So yeah, I rated this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I get it, you guys. I rate my books really high, okay? I am very easy to impress. The next book I read was Stardust by Neil Gaiman. Stardust was really, really cute. It was a really cute read. It was also a very quick read. The movie is also really cute. It's a pretty close adaptation. Also, Tristan, get you a man who would be willing to find a star for you. But don't make him do it, because that's cruel. But get a man who's willing. My heart. My heart. It's so generous. And you guessed it, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So the next book I read is also a Brandon Sanderson book, and this one is Elantris. I hope I pronounced that right. This is actually the book that was chosen for January. I read Mistborn first without knowing that there was a read-along happening. That's what happened. And then Elantris is actually the book that was chosen for January. Okay, now I remember. This was a fun read. I really like the sort of twist it gave on the arranged marriage trope. It was a really nice breath of fresh air on the trope. And like, I'm a sucker for the arranged marriage trope. Like, this goes all the way back to my Wattpad days. And just, oh, I love them so much! Characters, plot, setting, yeah, got me hooked all throughout. I really enjoyed it. I don't read a lot of high fantasy, mostly YA high fantasy. I read A Song of Ice and Fire, A Game of Thrones, a few years ago. And I think what helped me was that I watched the series first, so I kind of knew what to expect from the first book, but I didn't continue on after that. That's a goal as well for this year, to at least read the second book. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how things go this year. But Brandon Sanderson, I am starting to find, is a really good intro into the high fantasy genre. I'm not an expert. Maybe someone who's read a lot more books from the genre would say otherwise. But as someone who personally does not read a lot of high fantasy and is still trying to get into high fantasy, it's a really good bridge between going from the YA high fantasy that I'm used to into this adult high fantasy genre. I really enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot. And you guessed it, 4.5 out of 5 stars. Don't judge me for my lack of criteria. I rate books by however I feel like it. So along with Elantris, I also read the 2 short stories. One shot? I'll say short stories. So that's The Hope of Elantris. It takes place about a year after the main story, but I think it's a year, just yeah. But the characters are actually recalling specific events that happened in the main story, like in Elantris, but it was mentioned but not. Yeah, it was sort of like one character asking another character, hey, during this event, where were you? We kind of needed you then. What was up with that? So they're kind of just it's more of a conversation type of thing. And then you get a glimpse of what the characters' lives are sort of like after the events of the main story. That was really cute. That was fun. Yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Mostly because I kind of wanted to see more of what was happening currently. I needed more fluff, okay? It was kind of heavy. That story was kind of heavy, okay? I needed a little bit more fluff. After that, I read The Emperor's Soul, which also takes place in Elantris, but I think it's more of like, not exactly a prequel, but it happens before the main story. I mean, I think people like it. Didn't really keep me that interested. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. And with that, we end January. So the first book I read in February is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I was in the mood for something light to read, and then I picked up The Handmaid's Tale, knowing it was not a light read because a friend of mine messaged me asking, Ate Klauds, have you read The Handmaid's Tale? If yes, was it good? Because I'm kind of interested in reading it, but I'm still not sure, blah blah blah. And I thought, why not? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed The Handmaid's Tale. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I feel like I would have enjoyed it more had I been in the right mindset to read something like this. Does that make sense? Because as I said, I was in the mood for something light and fluffy and cute. Cute and fluffy! And picked up The Handmaid's Tale. So yeah, that was my own fault. But as a woman, this book, the men in this book, the people in this, I would have murdered someone. Yeah, easy for me to say because I'm not in that position, but I would have murdered someone. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into it today. That's all you really need to know. Just read The Handmaid's Tale. Make sure you're in the right mindset for it. You're in the right mood for it. You're ready to sit down and think critically and analytically. Okay, not literally. You get my point. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Maybe the rating could have been higher if, again, as I said, I was in a better mood. But yeah, maybe next year or in a few years I'll reread it. But yeah. Should I start watching the TV series? It's like 4 seasons now, right? I don't know. I'm still catching up on anime. Comment down below if you think I should watch it soon. I also need to get started on WandaVision. The next book I read, it was this February, and it was after The Handmaid's Tale when I realized, why am I not reading romance novels? That was probably the reason why I was in the mood for something cute and fluffy. Cute and fluffy! Me and 2 other close friends of mine have this little own weekly book club thing that we do, and we decided to read Lovely War, and then Little Blossom's book club also decided to read Lovely War for February, and it was like, yes, I don't have to add another book to this month's TBR. Killed two birds with one stone with Lovely War. That was probably a bad metaphor to use with a story about war. Over the past year, I have seen posts about Lovely War and people like posting about like broken hearts or tears. So I was kind of scared, knowing also that it takes place during the war. You bet your ass I was damn scared. I also love like the Greek mythology that was mixed into it. Oh my god, I swear this is a coincidence, but this necklace I'm wearing, I bought it from Tala by Kyla. I will link their Shopee store below. But like this is from their Greek gods and goddesses collection, and I'm actually wearing the Hades necklace. Oh wait, no, I'm wearing the Ares necklace. Yeah, sorry. I'm wearing the Ares necklace because Hades was sold out. Anyway, Ares is one of the gods who was in Lovely War. If you're interested in any of her products, I'll link her Shopee store below. The romance was so cute. Just, oh my god, the characters, just... I love them all. I gave it a 4.5. So the next book I read, after reading Lovely War, I don't know why I decided to read this right after reading Lovely War. All I know is that I watched the movie with my friends a few months ago on Zoom, and then I was reading a Fred Weasley X original character fanfic where they quoted from this story, and that was because of that fanfic that I found out that that movie was a book. And that quote they used is from the book, not the movie. I bought the book. It was very expensive. And because it was so expensive, I wanted to read it right away so that I wouldn't be wasting my money. And Ian McEwan. Atonement by Ian McEwan. I just... reading Lovely War that took place during World War I, and then Atonement that took place during World War II. It was like I was setting myself up for failure this month. So I obviously enjoyed it. Well, I mean, it was a good read. It was not a fun read because a title like Atonement, what fun? What fun? But it was a good read. It was a good story, a heartbreaking one. You should read Atonement. You should feel my pain too. And watch the movie because Keira Knightley, 4.5 out of 5. So the next book I read wasn't that great. In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I don't normally read suspense novels or crime novels, but in that little book club me and my friends do, we kind of have a wheel to like help us choose what genre and stuff to read, and it landed on suspense, or was it crime? And then I can't remember how we got to crime novels. I think we just thought of crime novels for fun. What we didn't realize was that it was a true story or based on a true story, so it kind of freaked us out a little bit. I don't know how Truman Capote, how he wrote this series of events. It was kind of messy, which was surprising because it had a really high rating on Goodreads. But yeah, like I was really interested in the murders and like how things happened, but how he wrote it, I couldn't get into it. So yeah, 2.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. So this is a middle grade book. It gave me a lot of Diary of a Wimpy Kid vibes. I'm not sure which book came out first. Maybe it's just because it had the word diary. I don't know. It gave me Diary of a Wimpy Kid vibes. It brought me back to my childhood, which was fun. And it was kind of relatable to me as a Filipino who grew up. I grew up here in the Philippines, but I also grew up not speaking Filipino. I went to a sort of international school. I was taught English at a young age. Like, I think my parents just always spoke to me in English ever since I was a toddler. So now I'm actually having difficulty learning Filipino. Sort of like an identity crisis kind of thing. If you're someone like me who went through that or is going through that, you might find this enjoyable even if it is written for kids. The thing about middle grade is that a lot of these books, you appreciate it more when you're older. You should give it a shot. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is Warbreaker by Brandon Brandon Sanderson. So Warbreaker is the chosen book for February. And this is the last Brandon Sanderson book I've read so far. Yeah, it is. It kept me hooked the whole time. And this book just had so many plot twists in it. Like, you know how like when you're reading a book, but you can't help but try to tell what's gonna happen next, try to give like a theory on how it's gonna end. And let me tell you, none of my theories hit the mark. The overall plot, I really enjoyed. It was just one book, but the world in itself is just already so rich. I would love to see more of this world. Brandon Sanderson has betrayal somewhere in his name. I swear to Jesus, he has betrayal somewhere in his Brandon Betrayal Sanderson. He writes it so damn well. Like in almost every book that I've read, I've only read 3, but there's always like some kind of betrayal in it. Like how many times am I gonna be all, wait, no, I liked you, why are you bad? Yeah, 4.5 out of 5 stars. For the next few books, except for one, I went on like a Taylor Swift kind of thing during late February, and I asked my followers on Instagram, hey, do you guys have like any suggestions for books that kind of give off a Taylor Swift vibe? And someone sent me this Instagram post of a list of books that give off Taylor Swift vibes. So if you like this album, you'll like this book, so on and so forth. And the first one I read was said to be, if you like the Red album, you like this. I forgot that the Red album is a treasure chest of heartbreak songs. Thank you, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Sir, for $1, name a celebrity you hate. Go, scream it! Scream it! Jake Gyllenhaal!
I forgot, okay? I forgot. And I went into this thinking I was gonna read some teenage love story or like a meet cute type of thing that ended badly. Like last 5 years type of story. I'm still hurting. But let's just say it didn't go where I expected it to go. If you wanna cry, go read Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yes, she is also the author of Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Taylor Jenkins Reid, like, how do you write this? Like, how? Who hurt you? So casually cruel in the name of being honest. The next book I read, I thought, it would be fun if I would be able to finish 2 books in one day. So I chose like a semi-short kind of book. I ended up with Everything by Nicola Yoon. I'm still not sure if I want to watch the movie. Maybe I will, for the heck of it. Everything, it was fine. And it was fine. The romance was fine. It was okay. Not really, yeah. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Like, it would have been lower if I didn't like the main characters. I did like the main characters. They were fun to read about. It was fine for a YA contemporary. So the next book I read is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. When I was about to start reading it, I thought that I was going to experience some cottagecore vibe kind of story. Not this. I was not expecting this. This was not cottagecore. Taylor Jenkins Reid, how? How were you able to write such heartbreak? Like, it's not as sad as Forever Interrupted, but the feelings the characters were going, the emotions they were going through was what had me crying. Like the stress and the anxiety, like I could not imagine going through that. Just I loved all the characters. I loved them. I loved the development. I loved the story. Like, it was a really good read, and I cried during the middle. Taylor Jenkins Reid, how do you get the ideas for this? Taylor Jenkins Reid's books all need to be turned into a movie. They all need to be turned into a movie. Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones, Forever Interrupted, these are all like cinematic gold mines. I rated it 4.5. That's all I can say anymore about it. I can't. And now we're down to the last one. So the last book I read, One Day in December by Josie Silver, is the last book I read for February, and from that Taylor Swift post. And One Day in December is, if you like, the album Speak Now, which is where back to December all the time. everybody was in. I hated everyone. Okay, no, not hate. Everyone just annoyed the living crap out of me. The only person I liked was the girl main character's best friend. Like, she was the only, I can't even remember their names. She was the only character I really liked. The main characters couldn't have just told the damn truth, didn't you? So we had to go through all this shit. If you've watched How I Met Your Mother, went through all those 9 seasons of back and forth, or even watching Friends, for the back and forth between Ross and Rachel, yeah, same thoughts. The main character gave me that same vibe of Ross and Rachel, Ted and Robin. They just made my head hurt. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I would have given it a 2.5, but I have to admit, the ending, how they finally got together, was pretty cute. I had to up the score a little bit for that. I had to give the author some credit. Anyway, that was my January and February. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you found the books I read these past 2 months interesting. If you have anything to suggest for what I should read, please comment down below. If you have read the books I just talked about or plan on reading it or whatever, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you disagree with some of my thoughts, comment down below. Let's discuss amicably, please. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!